Oh my God. Hold on a second, man. My fucking all right. All right. Here we go. Now we're ready to go. Let's rock and roll. All right. Welcome to the Dynasty Hot Sauce Podcast. I'm Larry Monkey, and you can find me on the internet at FF Larry Monkey. At Dynasty Hot Sauce all over the place as well. And all I can see right now is, I don't know, man. Got a baby blue T-shirt. We're rocking the Italian restaurant tablecloth / comforter at Run DFF, right down there from the Mississippi Delta, right near Buffalo Wild Wings.
It's me, I run DFF.
He's got a dead deer hanging up somewhere at Run DFF, baby. You know him, Justin Rogers. What's up, my man?
No more deer hanging, man. It's over. I did finish. I processed my last deer yesterday before the Super Bowl. I was like, I need to get this done because I'm not doing it tonight, and I'm not doing it this week because I'm busy. So I had to pull it out of the cooler and cut it up and everything. So I got a freezer full of meat. Let's go.
Do we ever discuss what you do with the eyeballs? You do anything with them? The deer eyeballs?
Larry, that's not – I don't know what kind of shit you've been watching on TV, but I don't eat eyeballs, man. That is not my thing.
I've been into some Netflix stuff, man, from like –
You need to stay off the Netflix. Whatever kind of survival show you're watching where they're eating eyeballs, man, don't take tips from them.
No, it's like one of those like a limited series that took place in like 1857 or something like that, you know. One of those they're just shooting deer hanging, blood hanging out of his mouth, pouring out of his mouth. But hey, man, turkey season's coming up.
It is. I got 1 month and 5 days till turkey season, and I'm getting turkey pictures every day on my cameras that are still up because they're just sitting there. Well, I'm like, man, exciting. Maybe I'll have a shot at one this year. I've never killed a turkey, so I'm in. I want to try it.
Okay. Well, we should bring on our guest, yeah?
Yeah, because I think he's ready to kill the show. Let's go.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm here.
He's got a lot going on, man. A lot going on. California, Jax Falcone at Dino Game Theory. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I didn't know I could do the show from bed. I would have totally been in bed if I knew I could do the show from in bed. What a guy.
Hey, look, you got to be comfortable. That's all I'm saying.
No doubt about it, man.
He just ripped that tablecloth right off the table, and everything stayed in its place. Here. Yeah. So, dude, tell us about what's been going on in your life, man. Undroppables, undrafted, shit talker. Just going through your Twitter.
I am a shit talker.
Your Twitter page. There's a lot of Twitter stuff going on here, man. I love the rankings, and dang it, get into some of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm always talking shit on Twitter. That seems like a lot of fun. I don't take myself too seriously there, but I will put out some cool stuff on Twitter. But the undrafted pod is we're just at, I think, 206 or something like that. So whatever that is, 4 years, 5 years almost. So that's been going for a while. And the undroppables, we've got a lot of great stuff going on. We've got a great team. So a lot of great content there. Just have a new show coming out. So if you're watching this, you're probably into Dynasty. You probably want to go check out the Dynasty Underground as well, as that's me, Trav, and Joe Kuvatakis. What a great show that is. We're only on our 6th episode. So it's a brand new Dynasty show right there on the Undroppables feed.
Nice, dude. So how'd you link up with the Undroppables? They've been around for about 5-6 years too?
Yeah.
Also?
Well, yeah, that's it. So, Chalk founded it with Randall Kennedy term, and I was one of the first ones there. And so basically myself and Chalk kind of, with Tommy Moe are the, owners and operators of it. But I would say Travis Seal is the man that makes it happen. We call him the dishwasher. You know what I mean? He's the wife that actually gets shit done in the house. So shout out to Trav.
You got to have one of those.
Yep.
Larry's my dishwasher.
There you go. Everybody's got to have one.
Yeah, you could follow the Undroppables at the Undroppables.
Yes, you can.
The undroppables.com.
That's it.
Yada yada yada.
We're everywhere, baby.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool website.
Thanks,
A lot
buddy.
going on. A lot going on here, man. So, but I don't know. What are we gonna get into today, Justin? What do you think?
We're gonna get into a lot of rookies. That's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
do we want to start with let's learn a little bit more about Jax?
Yeah.
Like let's kind of hear maybe what his fantasy is. For us there.
Yeah. Let's do it. Ready? What's your fantasy? Hey, man.
Mm.
Hey, we talk about this. We ask the guests, what are they into, man? Like, what's your kink? Yeah,
If I had $1 million, you know what I'd do?
What's
Few
that?
chicks at the same time.
I don't think you need $1 million to pull that one off.
It's from Office Space. That's it.
Right,
That's an old.
right,
That's an
right.
old one. Yeah.
Oh
that's
yeah,
On the
yeah.
couch, baby.
from Office Space. Yep. Yeah, that's right. So no, I think you were gonna get to how many leagues I'm in. I'm gonna skip the fantasy, but I think playing shortstop for the Boston Red Sox would suffice. But that ship has sailed. I'm pretty sure. I'll still hold out some hope. I mean, 1 in a million, maybe. You're telling me there's a chance, but I think we're gonna hedge to the fact that I'm in 20 dynasty leagues. I've been doing dynasty for a while. I mean, fantasy I've been doing since forever. I mean, I won't even say how long because everybody will know how old I am. But I think the white beard might give it away. But I've been playing since '99 or something like that. And but dynasty, when I found it, became the game that I was really good at. So that's what I tell people about because I figured out some of the ways that I think you can find edges in the game of dynasty. So that's what I do.
So is Dynasty your favorite format, or do you enjoy any others more, even though you're good at or you're best at Dynasty?
Well, I do. It's definitely my favorite. I always said so redraft is like playing Madden in arcade mode, and Dynasty is like playing Madden in franchise mode.
Yeah.
If you're in a franchise mode, then you want Dynasty, and to me, that's not even a close. That's not even close. I want to play franchise mode all day long, build my team, trade for the future, draft that that quarterback that you can have for 10 years, right? That whole thing, just
season.
Yeah, simulate the season exactly.
Play with salary.
Do you know I used to because I didn't like to simulate the entire season. So I used to play 8 games out of the 16. And I would pick 8 games and I'd be like, I'm going to play these 8. That way I'd have some sort of a reasonable record because otherwise you go undefeated, right?
Right.
If you, so of course, maybe I'd lose one game every now and again, but I didn't want to be 16-0 every single year. So, you'd lose a game, you'd get a freak injury, the game you sim, you're like, God dang it. So then you have to make a trade. So yeah, I'd still play it week to week, but I'd kind of get, through some of the mundane stuff. So there's a pro tip hack if you want, you're playing franchise, just pick 8 of them and play those.
Skip games like the Jets and stuff because it's not even
easy
right.
win. Easy win.
So what settings, man? What's your let's hear some settings, man. You're a dynasty guy. What's your if you had to pick your a league to join, which direction you going in?
Yeah, so I like deep. So I like 12 team deep starting lineup and then deep roster. So for me, it's would be quarterback, super flex, start 2 running back, start 3 wide receiver, start a tight end, and then generally like 4 flex plus the super flex. So really getting those flex, depth. So that way, when you finally start to build a big roster, a roster that's really formidable, you actually have a decided advantage because in shallow starting roster leagues, anybody can beat anybody. It becomes a little bit more just straight up luck. Whereas when you build a dope roster and you're able to, make some big draft picks in the 2nd and 3rd round of rookie drafts, they become, valuable flexes and you can trade for valuable flexes. It creates a lot more strategy in my opinion. So that's number 1. Number 2, I like half PPR, half point per first down. I hate PPR. I hate standard. I love half point PPR, half point first down. To me, that's the best way. I do play some, my leagues that I commission. I also play, like 0.2 or 0.3 plus or minus on completion and incompletion. So you get a little bit of completion percentage in there. So if a guy's just getting some garbage time, but he's throwing some nonsense out there, maybe the incompletions will take it down a little bit.
Tight end premium?
Sure. A little bit, but I don't like a heavy tight end premium because I don't like to overvalue those tight ends. So probably, what I usually do is just add a half point PPR, or so they're 1 PPR, whereas everybody else is half PPR. So then
Interesting.
So PPR for tight end, half PPR for everybody else. The half point per first down kind of levels everything out, and it's great. I love that. Yeah.
No kicker, no D.
Of course, yeah. No kicker, no D.
Thank you.
I played a couple IDPs. I do play in a couple kicker defense leagues. Just old ones that the first dynasty leagues that we switched over that were previous redraft guys that just got together and made a dynasty league. Our first ones.
Holy moly! So you're rolling with a kicker, huh? They get.
You can't get rid of it if you're playing with people who've been playing in the same league, like your old redraft buddies, family league type of stuff. Nobody's getting rid of kickers.
Yeah, my redraft leagues have kicker defense. It just is what it is, for sure.
Well, yeah,
they're never going anywhere in that one. So.
Yeah, and in the leagues where I have kicker and defense, we have a rule: you can't roster more than 3 defenses. So it kind of mutes the value of them. I mean, you can trade for a defense, but ultimately you have to give up a defense. So you can't like hoard defenses and like corner the market and then, the whole thing. So basically defenses, there's not that many defense trades because you got 3. Some people have 2 because of course 3 times 12 is too many fucking defenses. You don't have enough. So,
oh my God.
So I always make sure I have 3 always in that league, and I'm never going to have 2 unless, I'm pretty much never going to have 2. I'll just never have 2, so there are a couple teams with 2 and that's their problem. We could make it where everybody could only roster 2 and then the free agent thing would work. I don't know, but nobody's brought that up and I always have 3. So I'm keeping the advantage.
Right.
Yeah. Might as well play to the max of the rules. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So how'd you get into, just like analyzing rookies and stuff and just getting these guys ready?
I think everything came, I've always been a draft Nick. Like I would do, draft stuff even before, I was even into dynasty. I was into the draft. I mean, the draft, who doesn't love the draft, right? It's one of the most popular things. So I think the whole idea of player analysis, trying to figure out who you draft, is kind of natural for us. But then when you dive in and you start to say, okay, well, how the hell would I really do it? Then all of a sudden now it's not just, going with your gut. That's not good enough. You have to have some sort of an edge. Otherwise you just, you're probably behind. If you don't have an edge, then you don't have, you don't have an edge. So that means you're behind the curve or whatever. So you got to have a way to sort of do that. And so I started to develop, a process and I'm still developing it. I mean, I think if you're not trying to grow and figure out more every time, and if you think you got it figured out in anything, you're probably going to fall behind immediately.
So what's your take this year on this incoming class? What's your overall what would you have
broad
to say?
view before we get into specifics? How are you feeling about this?
I mean, I had this, I've been on the Sonic Truth a few times here now, as Matt and Theo have asked me to come on that show a little bit on Player Profile Network, and that particular show, Matt was like, oh, this deep running back, this is a better class maybe than 2024 and all the rest. And I was like, I don't think so. I mean, I do think there's a lot of great players in this draft, but I do think it's probably not quite the class that was last year. I mean, if we just look at quarterbacks, I think we'll talk about it a little bit, but the quarterbacks are not nearly as good prospect wise, and certainly be hard to imagine they pan out as well as the quarterbacks did last year, right?
Yeah.
That would be hard to imagine. And then, the wide receivers, how could they possibly put 4 receivers into the top 12 of Dynasty right now? Because that's what you have with Ladd McConkey, Marvin Harrison Jr., Neighbors, and BTJ. You have 4 top 12 Dynasty wide receivers out of that class. I don't see that coming. Now, the running backs should be better, but I also don't see the tight end one coming from you know what I mean? So there's just so much value in that last year's class. I think you probably have to think a little bit down from there in terms of elite talent. In terms of depth, I actually think this class is deeper, and I think the sort of 2nd and 3rd round picks might be a little bit more valuable. And I think that's probably mainly because of the running back depth.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be struggling. The running backs, obviously, this year we had a historically bad running back group coming in last year as far as how it panned out in the NFL season. So the running backs are going to carry this class for sure, but it is not looking great on the quarterback and wide receiver side from everything anybody is saying, and which just feels rough.
Yeah, there's always going to be some surprises and some players that hit. I mean, we don't know, who or what. You look at a guy like whatever. We'll talk about Tet or whatever, Tet McMillan. He looks like a George Pickens, Drake London. I don't know, Mike Evans type of player. I don't know. He's somewhere in that
Sure.
vicinity, right? Well, does he end up hitting that Drake London or better ceiling? I hope so, right? If not, I mean, you never know. I mean, we know what kind of prospect we have. We just don't know what kind of player we have, and their range of outcomes will dictate how good the class ends up being. There could be some good wide receivers, although it doesn't appear that we have any of those like top end Malik Neighbors type talents for sure.
Listen, man, you know what? This is like the eye of the storm. Every year, every season, after there's always a time every year in the offseason where everyone hates the picks all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden, then that window closes. So, Steady Eddie, I was talking to him earlier today, and he was just like, I got to get rid of my picks. I got to get rid of my picks. I'm like, dude, this is it. This is when you got to get the picks, man, because now everyone hates their picks. And then all of a sudden, once the combine kicks in, everyone's going to be all about the picks again. So
that's right. I agree with that.
It happens every year. Sometimes the window is small, but sometimes it's large. I feel like it's larger this year. So, man, I still want to get my hands on all these picks, man, because
especially if people are selling.
Everyone
I agree with that.
Everyone loves the mystery box. It's all about the shiny mystery box.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. If people are selling light, definitely go in for sure.
So let's get into some specifics then. Let's start with these quarterbacks that we, glossed over just now.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the quarterback class? I mean, we have the top two with Cam Ward and Shador.
Or is that your top two?
Right. As far as the consensus, but how does it look for you? You plug anybody else in this group?
I think if they get draft capital, you have to consider them. I really like Jackson Dart. I don't understand the hate for Jackson Dart. I don't know what more could he have done? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he was really good. He won big games. He was really good statistically, very efficient. He's got the tools, right? So you look at him, he's athletic. He's got, a good arm. I wouldn't say anything crazy, but he can definitely push the ball all over the yard, right? To the outside quadrants of the field for sure. He can throw from the opposite hash, right? He can do those things. It's not like he's got a laser, but I think the thing that people are criticizing with him is, probably the offense he comes from, and that it's a little bit sort of spelled out for him. And will he be able to read it? He doesn't play from under center. Will he be able to, sort of adapt? So really, I've just said, I've said this on Twitter, a bet on Jackson Dart is a bet that he can adapt. I don't know. I mean, right, I'm 50-50 on that, but I like everything else. So for me, it's like, if all I have to do is bet on him adapting at his current cost, I love that. If he does get, first round capital, or I think it was Rappaport was at the Senior Bowl and was kind of talking a little bit and was saying that, he's probably going to get first round capital. And if he does, he was kind of telling people, hey, listen, if he gets first round capital, it's likely to be high first round, right? Because once a quarterback is a first round prospect, they get pushed up, right? Like, think about last year. What was it? Penix and Nix were both like, the over under in Vegas was pick 28. They went 8 and 12, right? So those quarterbacks, if they're projected to be somewhere in the first round, they often get steamed a bit. So it's kind of interesting. I think if he does get that first round capital, it'll be top 15. If he does get that, boy, oh boy, watch out, right? I mean, I think you got to really consider him over Shador and or Cam Ward, or at least among them, I would think for sure.
Is there anyone else that you think can slip into this first round, or are we kind of that thin that it's really not looking like we're going to see any surprises?
Yeah, I don't think so, right? But what do I know, right? I always say that I'm not an insider, but as much as you try to listen to the insiders, the one thing I think we're hearing is that the consensus is this isn't a quarterback draft.
Right.
And if it isn't a quarterback draft, remember the last draft that wasn't a quarterback draft, what happened is all the players went
23 and then nobody else.
Right.
30. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yep. So maybe we're in for one of those situations where it's like, it just tumbles, everybody tumbles down. That's possible. So I'm prepared for all that, which is why, like, right now I'm like, in these mocks and stuff, I'm hesitant to push the button on any of these quarterbacks in the early first round. In a recent mock I did with whatever on the air or whatever, I took Jackson Dart at the 112, and I took Jalen Milroe at the 2.5 or whatever it was. I just think at some point those guys will be worth something, but I wouldn't. I'm not too excited to push it in the top 4 because what if Shador? Someone had a hot take today on Twitter. They said Shador is going to have an Aaron Rodgers like fall. So if Shador goes in the late first, you still want him as a top 4 rookie pick? Probably not, right?
Yeah, that might change things.
Well, he's going to go to a good team. He'll go to a good team.
I was going to say, depending on where he lands, because if he lands on a team that is not a dumpster fire, it could be good for him. Because he spent his last 2 years at Colorado playing behind a trash offensive line. So
yep,
give him any sort of decent protection, and I don't know, we might see something different out of him. I mean, we might see more of him.
I like Shador, right? He's a a technician, right? He's really accurate. He's really good in the pocket. He doesn't have any, elite tools. The arm is fine, not great. Right. The athleticism is average at best. Like there's really nothing there in terms of like wow factor, except sort of the makeup, the processing, and the accuracy, and it kind of sounds a little like a Tua, I mean, which is not a knock really. I mean, if Tua were healthy and not having concussion after concussion, he'd probably be a top 12 dynasty quarterback, right? So I mean, he's in that sort of range, Jared Goff-ish type player. That's not so bad in super flex, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're gonna, not this episode, but in the next few weeks we're gonna do a flag planting thing, and just a sneak peek, I'm gonna be planting my flag on Shador. So because I think that it's a little sneak peek.
And his lack of mobility.
I'm not worried about the mobility because I don't think anybody in this class is going to end up being a top 4 or 5 guy. I think we're trying to shoot for a QB2 in this class.
Yep,
which
could take.
Relatively speaking, I'd be fine with him as a QB2 being my QB3. That's how I feel about QB2. So I'll talk more about him, when we get into that show. But
I think that's a pretty good take, though, right? Because, I mean, in a bad quarterback class, you're not looking to maybe hit a home run because there more than likely isn't a home run there. But if you're trying to hit a fucking double in the gap, you know what I mean? And just be like, I got it. I nailed it. That might be Shador.
I think we're going to see him at the 104, 105 a lot this year. And if that's the case, and I'm around, I'm going to end up with a few more Shadors than I had planned on.
Yep.
Well, if Dart ends up going in the top 12, then you can count on him potentially being right in the mix there in that first half of that first round.
Absolutely. Too. Well, he's way more athletic than Shador Sanders is. So
yeah, he sure is.
See more running out of him.
So this is it's almost like everything's came back to where it all began, the running backs. Like back in the day, it was all about the running backs. When you were drafting, you had to get a decent running back. And then it's like, everyone's got to get wide receiver. Superflex took over. Here comes the quarterbacks. They're getting 7, 8, 9 quarterbacks taken in the first round of a startup. Now, this rookie draft, running backs are kind of it's a lot. How many running backs do you think could get taken in the first round of a rookie draft right now? If I get 12 picks, how many running backs are in that mix? If everything is like the ceiling for RBs, like how many RBs could actually make it into this first round?
I would think there's 4 for sure almost. I mean, unless something weird happens. So I would think 4 to 6 is the number that I would project.
Nice. I'm a running backs guy. So that's music to my ears.
Yeah. 4 to 7.
I have a lot of picks.
Possible, I suppose.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And so what are your, I don't know, we like to put guys in tiers, so what are who's in your your top tier, second tier, third tier? And let's take it from there, man, because we haven't really touched on the running backs yet. It's hard not to, but we really haven't really focused on them yet. So I'm really excited about listening to what you have to say about a couple of them.
Yeah, I think I kind of am right now. I think Ashton Genty is certainly the sort of tier 1. There could be 2 or 3 more in that tier 1. But because I'm not exactly sure, I then have a tier 2 of 3 guys, and that's Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, and Omarion Hampton. I love the explosion of Travion and Caleb. I like Travion as my RB2. Main reason for that is because he has explosion, size, and pass catching, which that's what you're looking for. There's a possibility he doesn't work out as a player. I get that. He could be more DeAndre Swift than he is, Jahmyr Gibbs or something like that, right? So I get it. But he's got really big upside because he's got a big enough body, a big enough frame where he can carry some base offense carries, right? He can actually be in there in base. He's not just a pass catcher, and he's super explosive. He's showed that in the championship game as well. So I love Travion. Caleb's explosive. He's got that pop. And his pass catching was not asked to do so, but he did play on a team that didn't throw the ball at all, right? I don't even think their quarterback had like 2,000 yards. No passing. So that's kind of hard to project, but I don't think the NFL is going to see him as a pass catcher. Omari and Hampton, I think they're going to see him as an all-around back. Really, really hard to take him out of this tier just because I think he's so sure to be a sort of 3-down player in the NFL. And then a lot of people have Quinshon Judkins in that tier. I don't. Ooh. I'm fine with him. I think he's great. But I think, if you ask me, Devin Neal is close to him. Ollie Gordon could be close to him. Some of these other guys. So I've got Quinshon and Devin Neal as a sort of a next tier, which are just solid dudes that I think could play in sort of any situation. Great goal line, great, just all around players. But I don't think they're truly special or have that huge upside. Now, obviously, any running back can have huge upside in the right situation, but
right.
you know what I mean. But I just don't think as a prospect they just profile as like the alpha of a class. So that's where I kind of see it. And then you kind of then there's like 20 dudes that honestly, like you could tell me any sort of the next 15 guys are like, you tell me anything, I'll be like, okay, I'll believe it. Whatever you tell me, I believe it. They're all good.
It's like draft capital territory. You just got to wait to see who they go and when they go, and then who they're playing for, who's in front of them.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of it might come down to projecting depth charts at this point. Like
exactly.
After the draft, it might be like, all right, well, there's 3 guys on that team that he's going to have to fight through, and there's only this other dude only has 1 dude to fight through, or to be the direct backup.
Exactly,
that kind of thing. So,
yep.
Mm-hmm. So you got. So obviously everybody's got Gente up there. Is he like the Bijan hype type of guy? Is this where we're at?
The only thing that we don't know, but we kind of know it, but that we don't know is a little bit of level of competition. But he so thoroughly dominated everybody that it's he's probably just awesome. You know what I mean? Like we could say, well, a little bit, this team didn't play the level of comp that everybody else played, but they were so good. They did play in some big games, obviously they made it to the playoffs. So, that's pretty good level of competition. He afforded himself well in those playoffs. So I would just say, yeah, he's probably that good. Yeah, I can't imagine. And the other part of that too is even if you're not that good, but you get the draft capital, you're a top 15 or 20 pick in the NFL draft, you're going to get loads of opportunity. And really opportunity is the only thing we give a shit about at the running back position for the most part. Right. So it's going to be fine.
Where do you like him in last year's draft?
Where
would he slot? Where is he slotting in?
Certainly RB1. What's interesting is Travion would have been my RB1 last year.
Yeah.
And this year he's a lot of people's like RB5. So that just tells you where this class would be ahead of everybody else. Probably 4 or 5 running backs would have been ahead of that RB1 in that class for sure.
Yeah. So he'd be right in that neighbors mix.
Whew. Wow, that'd be crazy if
he
were in
would
that
have been
class.
right around. I think he would have fallen in right behind like Brock Bowers.
Yeah, Bowers, a Dunze type of thing. Because
yeah,
Dunze, Ginty, Dunze,
top 6, top 5 pick for sure. Yeah, right.
Yeah, don't forget how hyped Neighbors was with Marvin Harrison.
And Marv, obviously, everybody loved Marv. He was just so steamed. Yeah, you couldn't.
What
get
sucks
past
is
Marv.
I'm in a Devi league, a Devi depleted league, and I was on the clock, and I almost took Genty. I went Colston Loveland back then that was like Genty was like, it's Debbie, so it's like everything's kind of a crapshoot.
It really
Well, he
is.
hadn't done what he did this year.
And then this dude just took over this season, and it was like, dang it, I was this close to picking him. I was like him or him, and I'm like, man, it's a 2-point tight end. You have to start. No, it's 1.75 tight end. You have to start 2. It's a 2 tight end league. So I was like, let me lean this, and then I need to restock my tight ends, and I'm like, the running backs, whatever. And next thing you know, this
Exactly.
dude's
Right.
This dude's the second coming of Barry Sanders.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I hate Debbie. I make all those mistakes too. So I'm like, man, get me out of here. I don't know what I'm doing.
So after Genty, you got what, like RB wise, what we just talked about, Caleb and Hampton
And Travion Henderson there, yeah,
and Henderson.
Yep.
And then you had that another teardrop before you got Junkins in there.
Yep. And Devin Neal.
Now Devin Neal.
That's one I'm excited to hear more about as we get into this process is Devin Neal. So uber productive, pass catching profile as well, like an all around back. He's got the size. Yeah, I think he's going to be a nice second round pick.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
In rookie drafts, which is crazy because he would have been a late first last year. He would have been up there with a lot of the players. Above Trey Benson and all those guys, Marshawn Lloyd, all those.
Yep, he'd be right in there with Trey Benson. Yep.
Yeah. So while I was speaking about this Devy League that I just mentioned, I also drafted Amarion Hampton, but right up there with him in terms of when you're doing your research and stuff, Ollie Gordon was right up there.
Yes,
with Hampton a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever, but he kind of fell off because he got into some like off the field stuff, right? Is that where he took a hit?
Well, and he had such an amazing sophomore season that he was like the college football best ball 1.01 this past year. So anybody playing college football best ball was like Ollie Gordon was pick 1. And then he did nothing. So he ruined everybody. So anybody who plays like Campus to Canton or Devi or college football fantasy or college football best ball, everybody hates Ollie Gordon, like all of them. Nice. And so, he just ruined everybody. So now it's like, he had a bad season, statistically, but the team was terrible, and then he goes to the Senior Bowl. He's 6'1", 233 and moves well, catches the football well out of the backfield, doesn't have a ton of wiggle. Like he's stiff hipped, but 6'1", 233 doesn't have to wiggle too much. Right. And, there's 2 Murrays that he kind of reminds me of, DeMarco and what's the other DeMarco Murray and Jesus, what's the other?
So
I
Cowboys?
just drew help me.
Murray.
DeMarco is who pops into my head because I made a trade for him back in the day and won a league with him when he was Cowboys.
Running back Murray.
Jesus.
Latavius
Murray. Oh my God.
Straight line speed, but yeah.
Right. So a big guy with some, some all around skill set somewhere in there, and of course, people will point the high end outline to a Derrick Henry. It's not there. It's not that type of player. He's just not that type of formidable player. Braylon Allen, maybe. You know what I mean? Like this is the type of player you're getting, a really good, solid player, but a player that probably profiles to be able to play in the pass game, a great pass blocker, and a great receiver. So if he can play 3 downs and find a team that's a good team, he could be. Najee Harris. There's another one maybe. So he's in that sort of player. This guy could this guy make his way to the turn in a first round of Superflex? Absolutely. Yeah, he could easily be the RB 4 or 5 or 6 somewhere in there if he gets the right landing spot in this class for sure. It's possible. Yeah,
man. So all these relatively recent dynasty folks that are just brand new to rookie drafts or whatever, this is their first taste of a draft that's kind of a throwback with all these running backs.
Right.
Like I kind of love this, man, because you haven't really seen anything like this in a while, where there's just the quarterbacks are shit, the wide receivers are kind of shit, I guess. Like, I don't know. We'll touch on them. What I mean, I guess we're almost through the running backs, but
Right.
where is it, like pick your poison with some of these guys? It's all going to be like whatever team they go to. That's who you're gonna. That's pretty much how it's going to be. I mean, more or less, when it's all said and done, like, are they really going to be in tiers after today?
Think about this, Larry. Think about this. Go back. What was it? A couple years ago, we were drafting at this time of year. We were drafting Zach Evans and Sean Tucker in the first round. Right?
Yeah,
that's true.
Zach Evans and Sean Tucker in the first round of mock drafts going into the NFL draft, and then they fell undrafted in 6th round, completely off the board, right? Even Kyron Williams did that too in his year, and then of course he came back. I mean, so I guess my point is with these running backs is, excuse me, you see like the dreams just get shattered. Remember Jamar Jefferson? There's another one. Like, there's guys that at this time of year we're thinking, hey, these are going to be top draft picks in the upcoming rookie draft, and then they just fall. So this could happen to, I don't know who. Like, I can't imagine it, but any of these guys, if they just slip, if all of a sudden Quinshon Judkins goes in the 5th round, you're like, what? I mean, Braylon Allen, you just never know where these guys get drafted, right? So, for all those reasons, it's like you got to be ready to just adjust based off draft capital. Doesn't mean you have to dislike a player, but you do have to understand, like, Sean Tucker, I liked him. Excuse me. He went in. He was actually pretty good in Tampa, right? So, I mean, I was right, but it doesn't matter if you're right if the guy doesn't play, right?
Right.
Yeah. Everyone was shocked about his draft cap, like his or lack thereof. But the league that Justin and I met in back in 2018, 7 running backs. I just checked out. This is 7 running backs in the first round.
Was it Superflex or?
Yeah. Superflex.
Wow.
This was in the first 12 picks. It was a 16 teamer. The first 12 picks, 7 running backs. Is that the worst way to draft in a 16 team Superflex?
Clearly none of us knew what we were doing in a 16 team Superflex. That's really what it came down to.
Yeah, there's another one in the Isaiah Spiller in the comments. That's exactly right. Yeah. Absolutely, brother. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Eddie Lacy. For my first ever startup, Eddie Lacy was like a first round pick, I think. He's on the turn.
Lacy had a few years. The guys we're talking about here, they just disappeared.
And that's what happens to these running backs. It's very strange. But that I think that 18 was that the Dalvin Cook, CMC, Leonard Fournette, Joe Mixon class. Yes. Was that class?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, yeah.
Yep. Dalvin Cook.
Yep, Dalvin. I love Dalvin that year. God dang it, did I love Dalvin?
Yeah, because he fell a little bit because of some athleticism questions. So
Yep. Yeah, the cone drill or whatever. I was like, dude, watch this guy fucking play football.
And and for those curious, the first 4 picks of this draft, Superflex, Todd Gurley, Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, David Johnson.
Of a 16 team Superflex. Gee,
yeah.
we were morons. All of us were morons. Because I traded up with Tyreek Hill in that league. I remember.
If you have a bunch of guys who've never played Superflex and you get them together, or especially if they never played Dynasty and never played Superflex, and you do that, there is just a wild time. Wild.
This was 2018, man. Back the Dynasty Trades HQ back in their heyday. They did the listener league, and then me and Justin joined it. This was the 16 teamer. You don't know what the fuck was going on. You're just like, you had to like pretend like you knew what was going on.
That's exactly it. Fake it till you make it. That's how we all get there. Right?
Well, I faked it and then realized, oh shit, I need to rebuild this mug. I did that on a quick, all right. I learned real fast. Like, all right, this team is not going anywhere.
Even if you know what you're doing, a 16 team draft is demoralizing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, we both won it though. Me and Larry both have a championship in that league. So.
There you go.
Nice. That's right. So I mean, I know it's February, so we can have some fun. Like, what do you think the breakdown is going to be in 12 picks as far as positions go? Like, how many QBs
and rookie
running backs? Yeah, the rookie draft.
Well, I think Tyler Warren is a sure first round pick. I think Genty's a sure first round pick.
All right.
I think those 4 running backs, are very likely. So we'll say 4 running backs, 1
That's
tight
exciting.
end, 3 wide receivers, and I'll just say 3 quarterbacks. I think there'll be 2 for sure, but let's just say 3. So how many is that now? 3, 4, and 1 for those math
Well,
wizards
that's
out
11.
there.
That's
Right there.
11.
That's 11. So yeah, the 12th will be, maybe
another
another
tight
wide
end.
receiver, someone, right? One other thing. So
How many-
add
how-
1 to one of those.
How many wide receivers did you throw in there?
Did I say 3? So probably 4 wide receivers. So 4 wide receivers, 4 or 5 running backs, 1 tight end. Tight end could get another one, but depends on, of course, if it's tight end premium, you might see some tight ends.
Wow. That's exciting, man.
I think Warren's the easy one to go. Okay, he's a first round.
Yes.
draft
He's a lock.
pick, first round dynasty pick. Yeah.
He's a lock.
Now, the Caleb Johnson, he kind of like, I've heard of all of these running backs, in my whatever in passing, but Caleb Johnson, I had never heard of, and all of a sudden he's just there. Like, is he kind of new on the scene in terms of just him putting up friendly statistics?
No doubt about it. So he came out in 2022 as a freshman and actually put up 779 rushing yards, just over 800 yards total. So great little freshman season. Last year in 2023, he put up only 463 rush yards. And you might say, well, 463 rush yards, that's not very good. But they were terrible. They had a total of, let me see here, their passing game. They had 1,600 passing yards last year. Like,
Right. So
they were
bad.
awful. They had like 3,200 total yards, 1,600 rushing yards, 1,600 passing yards. Now, I think he was hurt a little bit too. I don't know if he played the whole year. Yeah, he missed like 4 or 5 games. He also wasn't very good. I mean, he was below average in terms of yards per carry. The team was awful. He wasn't very good. He was hurt. So then he kind of just was off the map. This past year, he goes 1,537 rushing yards for 21 rushing touchdowns. I mean, over 1,700 yards and 23 touchdowns. Just an absolute huge year, 6.4 yards a carry. So, God, if he's that explosive, if you throw away the 2023 year and just imagine it didn't happen, and I only told you the 2022 info and the 2024 info, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm in. So you really have to look past the 2023 year. From the people I've been talking to, the 2023 year was kind of just bad all the way around. He wasn't very good. He was injured, whatever. So, but you turn on the tape in 2024 and it's pretty exciting. Like he rips, when you see him rip or run, you're like, geez Louise. He's got a big body, I don't know exactly how big he is. I think he's like 5'10", 220, so sort of that perfect size.
Wow.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson could be that guy. Obviously draft capital will tell the story. If he doesn't, go very high, it's going to be hard to,
Yeah, if he's not a day 2 pick,
it's over, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he'll be with everyone else, but there might be a few day 2 picks.
Yes.
There might be a lot of day 2 picks.
Running back wise. It's going to be, you know why? Because, I mean, everyone says, oh, it's so deep, so you can wait, but you can't wait because everyone's going to be jumping all over them. I mean,
it's going to be interesting to see for sure. The game of chicken, right?
Right. So we had our big splurge of veteran running backs that or the resurgence. They found the fountain of youth this year, but next year, that's it, man. You had your opportunity all season to get rid of these guys, and now their replacements will be drafted at the end of April. Because there's too many running backs. You just like there's a half dozen running backs that are going to be on teams that are going to have great draft capital, and I don't know. That's it, baby. Should have got rid of your James Connors.
We keep saying that, but this might be an outlier group of running backs as far as the veterans go, where they're pushing off these youngsters. Now, there are still plenty of spots available in the NFL for running backs. I mean, places like the Raiders.
I know they all get chances because everyone gets
running
hurt.
back. Even with Kamara on the field, they still need a running back. I mean, there's actually a lot of openings right now. Titans need a running back. All these places with fringe starters or just Jags are going to need to fill spots.
Wait, I have a good question. What's the deepest position in that coming out this year?
Running back in the 2025 class is running back, because you go deeper to excuse me, I'll just kind of pull up.
I say that specifically thinking about the second and third rounds of a rookie draft.
Yeah, I think it's running back.
I know we talk like 5 or 6 running backs in the first round. Like, is there? I mean, are the running backs are still coming at us in the second and third rounds.
Absolutely, because after you get past like that Judkins, Neal, and Ollie Gordon, if you like that, like I have guys like Woody Marks who could be. I mean, I don't know if he's in. We'll see how these guys are, but Woody Marks, RJ Harvey. I love RJ Harvey. Everybody who watches RJ Harvey loves him. Cam Scatabo, who's the kid from Arizona, obviously
on a show in his bowl game,
right? I mean, he's kind of fun and he's a gamer, and I mean, he's been very productive. So hard to turn a blind eye to his game. Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. Brashard Smith was the converted wide receiver that showed out from SMU at the Senior Bowl. Damian Martinez is a hammer. DJ Giddens is great. LaQuint Allen from Syracuse. Jordan James from Oregon. Trevor Etienne as well. Not a bad little player. Now we're down to my running back 18.
He had another good senior. Who's another guy had a good Senior Bowl, right?
Yep. Etienne. Rocket Sanders, Taj Brooks. I don't even know what to do with Taj Brooks. He's another hammer. Sort of a big guy. Lev Bell hammer type of runner. Jarquez Hunter. I'm Katron Allen, the guy who played right. I mean, at Penn State. So you just go 20 some odd running backs deep. Now that doesn't mean there'll be 20 running backs that are worth much in the draft, because someone will go undrafted or whatever the case, right? Right. The Jets will take another one of them, right, and put them. Sorry, right? It'll be Brees, Braylon, Isaiah Davis, and then this guy, whoever he is, this poor son of a bitch.
Sam Darnold handing off to him.
Yeah. Oh my God. Let's go, please. This will be so good. But you know what I'm saying. So landing spots will just evaporate some of these guys, and whatever the case. But these are all really talented players, and some of them have different skill sets. Some of them, like I said, there's some hammers. Taj Brooks and Damian Martinez. Some of these guys that can really Rocket Sanders. These bigger players, right? And then Katron Allen, right? And then there's pass catchers. Scatabo's a pass catcher, man. Brashard Smith, pass catcher. Jordan James, Trevor Etienne, Donovan Edwards, right? So RJ Harvey, Woody Marks, pass catchers. So really hard. Bashal Tootin, I like a lot. So there's a lot of players that, just depending on where they go and if there's a skill match there, all the third
down backs should be on notice.
Yep.
That's Absolutely. That's the last we've seen of Amir Abdullah and who's this Dylan Sampson guy? It's another guy that came out of nowhere. Is he anybody? We had to keep our eye on this guy too, huh?
You have to keep an eye on Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. Yes. Yep. Dang. It's crazy. So I like I said, all these guys that are after the top, I mean, it's hard. I haven't done all the film work. I haven't really done a lot of work. I just becoming familiar, checking them out. Sure. I'm not all the way there. I'm actually, as a matter of fact, a lot of what I do right now is I have on the undrafted. I just had Thor Nystrom. I'll have Brett Whitfield tomorrow. I'll go through the who's who, whoever I can get. That's the greatest prospect college guys. I've already had Felix Sharp. I'll just go through whoever I can get and ask these guys questions about these players so that they can kind of tell us who they like. I get excited to ask these people who know way more than me, and that's how I get to know things, right? So yeah, this is the time of year to figure it out. LaQuint Allen, the Syracuse kid, a lot of people like him. He's real fun to watch. So, some of these guys get, late third, early fourth round capital on a good team, and all of a sudden you're like, dude, LaQuint Allen's my RB7. It's possible. I don't know.
Well, is there a chance that some of these guys could actually pop to be at the an upper an elite level? Are some of these guys? This is so deep that there's a crapshoot where these guys can just turn into an elite running back.
Yeah, I mean, some of them have all-purpose skill sets. I mean, I think some of them get a little bit pigeonholed. Damian Martinez is kind of a thumper. I mean, look, Brian Robinson, right? That could be a guy like that. But you just never know. Brashard Smith, really hard. He's only 190, 195. I mean, he's gonna have a hard time, convincing an NFL team he's not Kenny Gainwell, right? You know what I mean? Maybe
I have a
DJ
good one.
Gibbons, right?
I have I have a good one. I have a good one for you.
Cam Scatabo could. I don't know.
Where's Bucky Irving in this crew?
Bucky. I mean, obviously, right now, I'm taking Bucky amongst the top 4, but as a prospect,
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Bucky he's so fucking good. I mean, we love Bucky Irving at the Undroppables. There were so many dudes that loved Bucky Irving, and then he weighed in, he was light, and then he ran, he was slow, and he got drafted late, and we were all off him. We're like, that's just 3 strikes, we're out. And we were
third round capital right there.
We should have just held on. We just gave up. So yeah, Bucky's the man. He's a great player.
Question in the chat here. Does Jax Falcone run the fantasy football racket for the Mafia?
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't know there was a fantasy football racket out there. I'm in.
The racket.
Wow. So, yeah, the RBs, man. It's gonna be
there's 2 rules.
It's gonna be RB roulette.
Never rat on your friends and don't say nothing. So I'm sorry, I can't tell you anything. All right. Just go ahead.
Second round rookie draft. So we've heard. I mean, is it still dominated by running back, or I mean, we play in some tight end premium leagues. Does that mean
tight ends
are sneaking in?
Dude. So I did the anatomy. You might have seen the tweet today. I hit the anatomy of an elite tight end, and there's 2 tight ends that have this super duper elite upside based off of the data. One is Tyler Warren. The other one, you could say Colson Loveland a little bit, although he's a little tiny bit flawed as a player, but a great tight end. He's fine. I love Colson Loveland. But the guy with the super duper elite upside is Harold Fannin Jr.
Ooh.
And I will be drafting Harold Fannin Jr. in all my second rounds, unless this dude gets like 5th, 6th round capital. If he gets any sort of second or third round, I'm all in. I just love Harold Fannin.
Bowling Green.
He's going to rise up boards as people learn his name a little bit more, because what he did on the field this year was ridiculous. Just absolutely crazy.
I mean, and tight ends. If they're saying like Warren and Loveland go in the first round in the draft, Fannin's going in the early second.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and again, this is a super deep tight end class. Even with like Elijah Arroyo and Ferguson and I don't know, Mason Taylor.
Look, we're talking about some of the depth of this class. Jim Dickey asked a question in our Patreon yesterday, and I think is an interesting thing for today. Let's talk about it a little bit. He's talking about a trade offer, 101 and the 207, or 103 and 110. So in my head, I'm just thinking, okay, Genty and the 207, or BP, best player available at 103, 110. What are your thoughts on that, Jax?
Give it to me one more time. I was looking at something. I apologize.
101 and the 207, or 103 and 110 this year?
Easily the 101.
So you got Genty in a strong tier ahead.
Because here's what happens at the 110 and the 207, I might be a little bit closer in terms of prospect.
Wow.
Yeah, I might be a little bit closer than I am at 1
in a draft slot tier. What's the first tier of draft slot? And the second tier,
the 101. If you give me the 102 and the 104, I'll take the 104 all day long, right? So the 102 to the 104, if you're same draft, I've got the 102 going down to the 104, and I get the 110 and the 207, right? You know what I mean? I'll take the.
There's a strong. You got a gap between Genty and the next, the 101 and the 102.
Certainly for right now, you have to. Yeah.
I get it.
What's the top 5? What's your top 5 right now? Rookie draft right now. You need your team sucks ass.
Jax,
you need everything.
Do you play any leagues? Do you play any leagues where you have to draft before the NFL draft?
I don't. Do you guys?
I have one like that, and I have 5 first rounders this year, so I don't know. I'm not loving this situation.
It's not a great year for that.
I'd rather have a clear cut top top tiers when I have all these
Totally. It's not a great year for that because there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of where guys will go. See, that's the thing is like if you ask me what I think it will be after the draft or what it is right now, like I don't often give advice for before like drafting right now because I don't draft very much right now. So I would look at a guy like Ashton Genty, Tet McMillan, even a Mecca Ekbuka. Like if I'm drafting right now, I'm definitely targeting a Mecca because I know what he's going to be. He's a can't miss prospect. That doesn't mean that he's going to be a stud, but like, he's 80% of JSN if he's nothing at all, right? You know what I mean? So like he's going to be a slot technician who can go out there and win immediately at the NFL level. He's almost certainly going to have top 50 capital, if not first round capital. So like everything about Emeka Egbuka is, right there. I think Omarion Hampton is probably the surest running back. So in that way, he'd probably be even ahead of the other guys. So I'd probably be looking at Genty, Tet, Egbuka, Omarion Hampton, and maybe Travion Henderson. Obviously you'd have to consider the quarterbacks in there. I just don't know which one. I guess Cam Ward would probably be in the top 5 for me too. It'd be really, really scary to take one of these quarterbacks right now, not knowing. But
it's unbelievable that there's not a quarterback in the. This goes back to the Kenny Pickett days.
Yep.
Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett, I should say.
If I knew that Cam Ward is going, if you told me that Cam Ward's going on top 5, then yeah, I'll take him, pick 2 or 3, right? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, fine. Same thing with Shador, right? It's like, okay, fine. The wide receivers are generally a little bit more certain this time of year, right? But pre-draft, whereas the running backs can get moved around very easily, very, very easily.
So the wide receivers are nuts this year, right? Because everyone's just like, Tet, he's the guy. But they're like, oh, but if it was last year, he'd be late first round pick. And now all of a sudden there's some folks that have him over Genty.
No, you can't have that. Don't do that. And then also, if Travis Hunter, if you told me, oh yeah, Travis Hunter is a wide receiver and will only play wide receiver, he's probably pick 2. So it's Genty, then Travis Hunter, then Tet probably.
There's so much risk in him.
There it is again, right?
Wide receiver snaps in a game instead of 40 or 50.
Don't forget Justin Jefferson was he was on the turn in rookie drafts.
Erroneously. Yeah, we messed that one up.
Yeah, we did.
Don't forget who you took before him too.
I took CeeDee Lamb before him, but nobody.
I'm talking like it was like
he was Jalen Reagor.
Yeah.
Jalen Reagor. Whoops. Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah. I think we all kind of screwed the pooch on that one.
Ay. So how do the rookie wide receivers look? When.
So we have a wide receiver model, and we didn't have it until last year. Last year was the first year we had it, and so I've never really used it before. But now that we have it, it's not out yet. We don't have the results. We're putting in there the whole thing. It's getting built and everything, and so we're not even there. I'm like dying to hear what it comes out with, and so ultimately, like I'm kind of waiting for it because it's been so good that I want that bit of data to kind of push me over the top. But I just think in general, if you ask me before I see all that data, I think it's a middling class, because here I am talking about, Emeka Egbuka, as being one of the more certain players, Tet being my wide receiver 1. Yeah, that's fine. A Drake London level prospect as the wide receiver 1 is suboptimal, and there's no Garrett Wilson in the class, right? There, so it's like, okay, so here we are. So yeah, it's rough. Just because I love Trey Harris. The 2 best in the class, by the way, at the wide receiver, running back, and tight end position at like yards per route run, and first downs per route run are Trey Harris and Harold Fannin Jr. Those are the top 2 in the entire class. At those metrics. You're talking about a tight end that's basically number 2 in the entire class, and Trey Harris gets the same sort of ick on him because of that offense. But let me just tell you, analytically, he filled up every single box this last year and then got hurt. So his counting stats didn't look all that impressive. But if he had finished the year, he could have gone for 2,000 yards.
Oh, have you ever bumped into Trey Harris, Justin?
No, sir.
You would have fallen down, though, if you did.
Yeah. No, we run in different circles, Larry. I run in the chasing children around circles.
Careful.
Yikes. I mean, that could also apply to...
Gotta be careful these days when you say that.
Right. That could apply to Trey Harris.
Whoa, easy.
No, I'm not saying accusing anybody. I'll tell you this, though.
About me.
I will accuse, you know what? You know who I'll accuse, which was really... There was... I can't remember his name. I'll have to research this and bring it back next show. There's a guy that followed me on Instagram. All I had were my daughter's photos on Instagram. That was it. Oh, Marquise Goodwin. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, started following me on Instagram.
That's cool.
Is it though?
Yes.
It's just a bunch of. It's just like little girl photos. That's all it was. Yes, and I'm like, why is Marquise Goodwin following me? This is disgusting.
Did you have any pictures or videos of Cassidy?
Nothing. No. This was totally weird. And then he got traded to San Francisco or something. Maybe signed there as a free agent. I don't remember. And then he unfollowed me. I don't know. That's my Marquise Goodwin story.
I only know Marquise because of the long jump. It wasn't because of his NFL career.
So I think Travis Hunter is going to be the steal of the rookie draft. That's just how it's
Larry, so are you confident that he plays a role that is going to score points?
Well, this is what's going to happen. When they draft him, they're going to be like, we're going to use him as a...
He can't play 120 snaps a game in the pros. That's not possible.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that generally speaking, guys make a little bit more money as an elite wide receiver than they do as an elite cornerback. Mm-hmm. Careers tend to last a little bit longer. Second contracts are a little bit more valuable because they can sort of morph their game. Once a cornerback loses a step, they become, a little bit disposable. I don't know, man. I think he's probably got a better, overall, ceiling outcome for money as a wide receiver. I mean, I was joking.
I was joking.
Jair Alexander makes like $19 million a year. Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk both make $19 million a year. It's like very easy to make $19 million a year.
Yeah, you don't have to talk about the elite guys. Like you could be a mediocre wide receiver making $10 million a year.
Easy.
I mean, they just throw around $10 million for wide receivers like it's nothing.
Yeah, Kendrick Bourne makes like $10 million a year, dude. It's like crazy.
What the hell?
Wide receivers get a lot of money, dude.
Oh, man.
All right, man. Well, I know Jackson's got to run, baby. He's got to go. He's got to go to the next.
We're recording.
Where are you? You're California. I mean, Jesus.
California.
I guess you're in the non-fire section.
We were, thank God. I mean,
holy moly, man. Good for that.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. I mean, I did know a friend of mine who lost everything, and it's fucking brutal. So yeah, prayers out, and
Stinks.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
I mean, I know California takes up the whole West Coast, the entire West Coast, pretty much. So it's huge, but
it's like I used to go to UMass. That's where I went to undergrad. UMass Amherst, and it's like 25,000 people. And whenever you went to UMass, if you met someone at a party, in some other town, you go, "Oh, you go to UMass?" Be like, "Yeah, I go to UMass." "Oh, do you know Mike?"
Right.
Yeah, fuck. Of course I know Mike. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you talking about? So yeah, people always, you're in California. "Oh, are you in the, what are you in the movie business? Whatever. You live on, everybody thinks you're, part of the thing. But anyway, no, it's all good.
Hollywood.
I got to run because we're doing Dynasty Underground tonight. So we're recording Dynasty Underground with Joe and Trav. If you're watching this, definitely please come watch Dynasty Underground. We're not live tonight, but we release it pretty quick.
What do you do? What do you do for the NFL draft? You got a whole undroppables thing going on?
We used to do well. I mean, we probably do it again. We do just a little live stream. Nothing official or fancy. Usually people get drunk and get a little belligerent. And like me last year, I'm a Patriots fan because I'm from Boston, and they picked Drake May, and I was like pissed. I hated it. And now, of course, I think he's the greatest in the whole world. So turn that little fucking opinion right around.
You're on the May train. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, hey, wait, man, we appreciate you coming on. And
Thanks for having me.
in terms of the draft, we have a big draft party every year. You're more than welcome to pop on for
Hell yeah.
a pick or two. That would be amazing. We're building our guest list now. We always have a nice big rager for the entire draft, and see if we can get a super flex first round out of the first round. That's the ultimate goal. It
might be tough this year. It might be tough this year.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
The best day for fantasy is day 2.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be this year.
But we've had some
wide receivers pretty fill our first round up.
Yeah. We've had some good first ones. But yeah, man, follow Jack Spalcone at Dino Game Theory. All right, my man.
Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate all the insight.
Absolutely. Next time I'm coming on, I'm doing it from my bed. That's all I'm telling you. I'm not.
I dig it.
None of this.
Be comfy, man. Be comfy. It's the best way.
I'm just getting a tablecloth like this dude and getting comfortable. Pour some barbecue sauce on my chest and just chill out, you know?
Oh, man, get a rack of ribs.
Some hot sauce.
For the draft, I might have myself a plate right here. I can just eat while I'm
with the hot sauce. Hell yeah.
I put hot sauce on ribs.
The vibe.
I will put hot sauce on ribs. That hot sauce on ribs is perfect.
Yes.
Mix it up in that barbecue sauce, make it like a hot barbecue. Oh, baby.
Hell yeah, hot barbecue sounds. Let's do it right now.
All right, Jax.
All right,
great.
All right, bud.
Good times,
Thanks,
my man. All right.
Oh, man.
Jack,
I don't know how long I'm going to
baby.
stay on either. I got to get me some sleep, brother. But we need to mention we got a few spots in the Hot Sauce Listener League that we need to fill.
Yep.
So, and if you're listening to this and you haven't paid your dues, get in there and pay your damn dues, people.
Oh,
I need to know exactly what I got to deal with here. How many people I got to acquire. So,
Join the Listener League.
Yeah.
Join the Listener League. Give us a shout.
Give us a shout. Jamie's just going to end up being in the league by just default of being in the chat every week. So,
he's definitely
he says hot sauce on ice cream is the best.
Yikes.
I don't know. I've never tried that. Doesn't sound like you've done that either, huh?
Nah, I'm not like one of those like crazy guys like that. I'm not gonna do that.
Well, Jamie is a little crazy, so
sounds about right. I don't know. Do you want to do your worst trade real fast, or you got to run?
Oh yes, no. We can do that for sure. Because I found a bad trade. An awful trade. I had a pretty good year of trades, but I did find one that's just going to be like fuck. Okay, you ready for this, Larry?
Mm-hmm.
Traded my 2026 first and 2026 third. And I got Brandon freaking Ayuk.
Well, come on. That's not. Listen,
Brandon Ayuk.
I get it. I get it. He's done for the year, but at least he was
terrible before he went down.
At least he's gonna come back.
But he was terrible before he went down. I gave away future capital for a guy who was straight trash, and hopefully he rebounds. Straight trash.
Yep. I get it.
On the other hand, you want to hear my favorite trade of the?
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like I was involved in this.
Nope.
Good. Thank goodness.
I traded this is in the same league. I traded Marvin Harrison Jr. and my 2025 third, which ended up being the 306. And I got Malik Neighbors, Jalen Warren, and 2 seconds. 2 late seconds, but still.
Nice.
Knowing what Malik Neighbors did this year, that felt so good.
Yep.
That was a good one.
I mean, my worst trade, we've talked about it. It was with JSN for Deshaun Watson. I gave up JSN.
That hurts so bad. I feel your pain here. He even looked bad to start the season. It took him a while to get moving.
I have to do better research because I did. I mean, I just looked at my MFL leagues and I have pretty much 50-50. I'm in 10 I'm in 10 dynasty leagues. 6 are on MFL and 4 are on Sleeper.
Yeah.
So I did research. Well, one of my favorite trades this year I referenced earlier, and that was the it turned out to be the 110 for Keenan Allen and James Conner, and I was just so happy to just be able to unload those guys. And you never know if Dart sneaks into this first round. Some good running backs there.
Yeah, I think Dart is going to be one that can rise a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
But
you got 3 QBs. You got Genty. That's 4. Now you're in pick 5. The wide receiver 1 hasn't been taken
you got
yet.
Tyler Warren. You got Tyler Warren.
Right. You got Warren.
6, and then you'll have Tet.
Right.
7.
So,
but
there'll be a legit. And listen, we haven't even gotten through Junkins. I think Junkins is going to get drafted high, man. I think there's going to be some legit running back draft capital because there are some legit running backs. There's been a lot of drafts lately where the receiver, it was all about the wide receiver, and those wide receivers flew off the board.
I don't think that, but if we're talking about that first, like the first round, I don't think we're going to see a bunch of running backs going in the first round.
No, I mean 2 running backs at most in the first round.
Right, exactly, max. Yeah, just for our mock, we're going to be thin, man. It's going to be thin.
Yeah,
thin.
it's going to. Yeah, you're right.
I think last year we were short 1 player. Maybe it was 2 years ago.
So
coming out, but we are not going to have a full first round.
I think we will.
We're going to have there's no running backs to push it. No quarterbacks to push it.
There's 3. There's 3 quarterbacks that'll be drafted.
3 though, not 5 or 6. Just
we don't know. There could be 4. Definitely 3.
Yeah.
There's going to be
a tight end or maybe 2.
There's going to be 2 tight ends because Loveland's going and Warren. That's 2.
But
that's
is Loveland going to be a dynasty first rounder?
If he gets first round draft capital, absolutely.
Maybe. I don't know.
Of course he is. That's 5 players right there. That we haven't even talked about running backs and wide receivers.
Yeah, so but the problem is
let's just say 2 running backs. Just
okay. So now we're at 7. We need 5 wide receivers.
Okay,
there's not 5.
There's not going to be 5 wide receivers now. Maybe 3.
It could be short, man.
It could be 3 wide receivers though.
Yeah, we could see 3 or 4 for sure. But because Luther Burden's going to be in there, Emeka Egbuka should be in there.
Egbuka's definitely going to be in there. Yeah, at least 3.
But then it gets thin,
You get those burners.
We'll see how it goes. It's going to be a lot of offensive line this year. I can tell you that. It's going to be some offensive line. Be interesting.
Yep. All right, dude.
All right, brother. Well, yeah, I guess it's time to get off of here. I got to go and empty my truck out because I got to drive up to Oxford tomorrow. Got to go to the home of the Ole Miss Rebels.
Oh, no kidding.
Maybe I'll run into Jackson Dart and Trey up there while I'm running around.
All right. Looks like Brandon Lejeune is in for the 25th. You know him?
I don't know. I don't know that
Brandon Lejeune. He's the NFL Big Board. Does the NFL Draft Big Board podcast. He's a Debbie the Dynasty guy. He's a film guy.
Yeah, I don't know. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm not sure if
All right, dude. You gotta check this guy out. He's coming on. Oh, we got some good guests coming on. You join the Patreon, check out the merch site. Just check us out. Give us a listen. And then we're gonna see you next week, as always. Thanks for listening to the Dynasty Hot Sauce Pod.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's time for me to go find